Hi guys, I'm going to do another video for you today. And today I have, it's going to be, I'm going to read the message, and you can listen to it for the message, but it's going to be coming from the aspect of if you were a Sagittarius rising. So the first house is Sagittarius. So this card keeps coming out, like, just like it's got a lot to say. So it says it's time to take action, right? So in Sagittarius rising, that would equal the fifth house, and what threw itself out? The fifth house, right? I always talk about artists, right? Lately it just seems like almost every message is for an artist or someone who's in the middle of creating something. And it doesn't mean you have to be an artist, but it means that you are in a creative type of setting in some sort. So this energy coming forward repeatedly, if you've been watching my messages, or maybe this is the first time, maybe we need to go back and look for when I talked about Aries. If I can remember, I'll put the link in the bottom so you can find it easier. But there's definitely an energy about creative endeavors in some kind of way. And then also one of the things I like to do is, so the number of this card is 43, and we add the 2 together, and that's 7. So that's one of the energies that is also going to come up, is the 7th house, and how the 7th house impacts the 5th. Now, if we're talking about it in a romantic context, the 5th and the 7th. So the 5th house is, if it's a romantic energy that you're experiencing, it means this is when we first started dating, and this is when we started to become the boyfriend and the girlfriend, or the relationship moved from just being friends of some sort and moving into an actual intimacy area. The holding of hands, the going on dates, and sometimes the first time people are intimate with each other in some kind of way. And then the 7th house is normally where things become very serious, and then it becomes like talking about getting married in different kind of ways. Now, this one seems to be talking more, it's more aimed towards the 5th house, but the 7th house does have an impact on it, which means that it could be relationships that impact our passions. It could be work that impacts our passions. It could be all kinds of stuff like that. So the energy of today came under, in cartomancy, which is 3, which it goes underneath the name the Creator, right? So what happens? Art, children, all kinds of stuff are created, right? And that's the energy that's coming up today. So we have 6 of Wands, 5 of Coin, 3 of Coin, and 7 of Coin. So there's a lot of coins coming in, a lot of something to do with money. So if it's someone who's trying to make money per se with creating something, this might be talking to you about that. Now, when we add all the cartomancy together, we get the 3 things that came up was Caput Draconis, which is the North Node, which the North Node is in conjunction with Venus right now, which is talking about sometimes relationships, business deals, finances. It's in conjunction with the North Node, which means that she's not only in her highest dignity, but she's also something important, like for the world, could be finances, can be love, can be something to do with businesses big that's happening in the world. But depending on where it's in your chart, in this one it's home. Something about home is important. So maybe the person is creating from home, is creating finances or a place in which to receive finances from home. Now, the energy of Latita, joy, that energy is ruled under, I think I want to say it was Jupiter. Let me look. Yes, Latita under Jupiter, also in Pisces. So again, home, place of happiness, joy, creativity, passion, the things that our joy comes from is from home. So one of the things you want to be careful of is when you mix your passions and your joys with the urge to want to make money on it. You don't want it to become something where money dominates it, and then you lose your passion because now you're only doing it for money. And that's just throwing that out there. That's just my suggestion, to make sure that if you're going to do it, make sure it's fun and that it happens to make money. so that way it still stays a passion. And also the Aries is ruled by Mars, which is the god of passion, right? Assertiveness, pushing ourselves to do something, especially if this is an entrepreneur type of energy. And he's in the 8th house right now for Sagittarius rising, which can mean sometimes a little bit of money is on the mind. You may have had to pay a lot of taxes, paid for a lot of medical bills, paid for a lot of like large phone bills or something like that, something to do with, you know, having to pay for money and money towards something. So money is on your mind no matter what. So you're trying to find a way of how can I create better finances. And then via is the way, is the path, it is the light. No, I had to throw that in there. But it's ruled by the moon, which equals change. So are your passions changing? Are your relationships changing? Is your view on how you want to create money from home changing in some kind of way? So I wrote down creativity, intimacy, children, the inner child, and then also because Chiron's hanging out in that 5th house, it can be centered around creativity. It can be centered around intimacy and children, or something to do with their inner self in some kind of way. But it's, the word I wrote randomly is stunted. Something was stunted. Wounds in the self, or believing and going for something. So sometimes, you know, like Aries is known for initiating and starting things. Not always finishing things, but starting something. And sometimes we may not even be able to start something because we feel insecure, or we have this weirdness happening with us. But we do have the energy of the 6 of Wands, which means that whatever you're attempting to do right now is potentially going to be successful. Or the thing that you're wanting to do, you're really praying and hoping is going to have some sort of success. Now, in a Sagittarius's chart, the Uranus has been in the 6th house, which means that sometimes work environments or maintaining a healthy habit, or sometimes health has been erratic, which can sometimes make, you know, staying focused on something or the ability to continue to do something a challenge. Now, which, and also is in Taurus, which is money, you know, so sometimes maybe the fluctuation of your money is the reason why you haven't gone full bore into something. But the energy of the Jupiter, and I think Jupiter, where is Jupiter in my brain? Jupiter's in the 7th house. So sometimes you may be thinking about collaborating with a loved one, a partner, or a friend in some kind of way. We're trying to avoid financial hardships in some kind of way. And here's, you know, Taurus. So sometimes this card can come out when we're feeling ill, right? We're not feeling very well. So ask yourself, what am I battling with? Is it my body? Is it my finances? Is it my mental health? Is it my relationships? Or do I genuinely have a wound with my creativity in some kind of way? This one, it speaks of you probably experiencing a little bit, like I said, Mars, you know, is spending a lot of money. Money's not coming in right now, but don't fixate on right now. How are you going to solve the problem now? What are we going to be saving, you know? And this is 5 coins, so imagine $5, right? Like, so what happens if you just started taking $5 a week and started saving it and put it in a if I touch this jar, things are bad, you know what I mean? Like, this is a reserve jar, don't touch it unless you really need to, kind of thing. That would be the energy I would suggest in that energy. You know, and then we got the 3 of coins, and look, there's my friend Mars, right? So sometimes we can find ways to collaborate with people by harnessing this Aries energy. So basically that means you will always find the right people in the right time and in the right order that will help you achieve what you need to do. But the first thing you have to do is start it. It's your job to start it. It's your job to have the vision, to attempt to put it in order, and then in the right time, in the right order, then you will have the ability to have the support that you need. Sometimes it could come through money, but when Mars is hanging out with money, you got to be careful with making any type of contracts too quickly without you know, even sometimes when we know people and you make a contract, sometimes then people show who they really are. So you just want to make sure that you trust these people. Mars is in its highest dignity in Capricorn. It is a very hard worker, right? So that could be something that, you know, obviously you don't want to mix the word hard work with passions, especially if it's supposed to be fun, but you have to have the drive to want to do it in the first place. You have to have the drive to start it. So however that translates for you. Now, the 7 of coin. This is an energy of being, you know, Taurus is slow and so is Saturn. So the energy of this card is slow. You know, it's akin to planting seeds and giving them time to allow them to grow, right? So the overall energy is you're going to be successful, but you need to save your money. You have to be willing to work for it, and you have to be willing to wait to let the, you know, the fruits come so you can actually harvest everything that you've done. So the energy of this is just literally coming down to joy. What brings you happiness, and what are you willing to do to attain your happiness, to keep it, to make sure that it stays healthy, right? And not centered just around money, but like, you know, the value. How much do I value this thing? How much will I work to do it, to achieve it? So yeah, I feel like that is a pretty good place to leave it. So I hope that this resonates with somebody. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was, you know, a kick in the ass you needed. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for watching. Bye.